Since I was little, I was really curious about the round planet I live in, Earth. This blue ball looks really tiny in the solar system, but compared to my size, it's really huge. According to scientists, Earth is the only planet in the solar system that provides life for living things. This includes humans, animals, plants, and microorganisms. But the thing that makes me really curious is actually how the Earth works. Unlike humans, plants, and animals, the Earth is a dead thing. But all the process that occurs inside the Earth's belly makes it look as it were alive, like a sleeping giant. So today, I decided to discover the library of Sekolah Mentari Bangsa. My exploration led me to the science corner where I found some children's books talking about the Earth's geological process. From these children's books, I discovered that the Earth stores great strength within. This invisible energy is the cause of geological phenomena like earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, tsunamis, and the growth of mountains. These are all the things we will learn together today. Hi, my name is Ibu Nelissa and I'm a science teacher at Sekolah Mentari Bangsa. Welcome to my virtual class. Before we start talking about these natural disasters, we would better take a close look to the Earth's surface. This is exactly how our planet looks from outer space. We know that our world consists of 7 continents and 5 oceans, but we won't be learning about that today. In many places all over the world, great natural disasters do happen. What I really mean with this is actually catastrophes that are caused by the Earth's energy. Before we go further, imagine the Earth as an orange. I know that this orange isn't completely round, but at least we can use this as an illustration. The Earth is a solid object that consists of many layers. If you take a closer look, you can see that this orange got a skin that is rough. This orange skin is like the Earth's crust. But what is the Earth's crust? The Earth's crust is the outermost layer that covers our planet like a shell. If you are taking a walk outside, observe well of what you are stepping on. You probably are stepping on some grass or on a pavement. But if you take a closer look, you will also find some dirt, sand, soil, and probably tiny rocks. Well, this is the Earth's crust. Based on how thick it is, the Earth's crust is divided into 2 types, the oceanic crust and the continental crust. The continental crust is the crust that makes up all the lands on Earth. The other type of crust is called the oceanic crust. This crust lies on the ocean floor and is much thinner than the continental crust. Altogether, the Earth's crust forms smaller pieces that are called plates. These plates are like puzzle pieces that are fragile and able to move easily. The Earth's layer right beneath the crust is the mantle. This layer of Earth is mostly liquid since an extremely hot temperature caused the rocks to melt. This hot, red, and blazing liquid rock is better known as molten rock. Since molten rock is boiling liquid, it bubbles up like hot water and flows wildly beneath the Earth's crust. The term scientists use for molten rock that is located underground is magma. The temperature of magma is between 700 to 1300 degrees Celsius. Extremely hot, isn't it? Volcanic eruptions occur when magma rises to the Earth's surface. Spots where magma reaches the Earth's surface will form volcanoes. A volcano is the term we use for mountains with holes or craters leading directly into the Earth's belly. When a volcano erupts, hot gases and melted rock from inside Earth will find their way up to the surface. These materials may flow slowly from cracks on the ground or explode suddenly into the air. 60% of all active volcanoes around the world occur between tectonic plates. Most volcanoes surround the Pacific Ocean. This range of volcanoes is famously known as the Ring of Fire. One of the countries with the most active volcanoes in the world is Indonesia. As an archipelago located on the Ring of Fire, Indonesia is often struck by volcanic eruptions. According to scientists' record, Indonesia has 147 volcanoes. 76 of them are active volcanoes that spread along the islands of Java, Sumatra, and Sulawesi. Indonesian volcanoes are quite unique in the way of how they are formed and how they erupt. Most volcanoes in Indonesia are stratovolcanoes. A stratovolcano is a term for volcanoes that shape like cones. A stratovolcano is built of many layers of materials that consist of cold lava and volcanic ash. The eruption of a stratovolcano can cause severe destruction because great pressure from underground causes both magma and gases to explode. Famous active stratovolcanoes that spread across the islands of Indonesia are Mount Sinabung, Mount Kerinci, Mount Krakatoa, and Mount Merapi. Among these Indonesian volcanoes, the one that attracts me most is Krakatoa. This suddenly reminds me of watching a movie about eruptions for the very first time. I was in the 6th grade, which means that it happened more than 12 years ago. On one hot Friday, my science teacher brought us to the school's hall to watch a movie about Krakatoa's explosion. From that movie, I learned much about Mount Krakatoa. Krakatoa is a stratovolcano located on the Sunda Strait right between the island of Java and Sumatra. In my opinion, the movie is quite tragical, but it provides facts about the legendary Krakatoa in the back days. The Mount Krakatoa we know today isn't the one that once caused the whole world to tremble. In 1883, Indonesia was still occupied by the Dutch and the Englishmen. Most inlanders weren't educated, so they didn't know much about the signs of natural disasters. The legendary Krakatoa was a high volcano that rose up to 813 meters above the sea level. This volcano was quite risky since it had 3 huge cones. Can you imagine? 3! In May 1883, one of the 3 cones became active again and started to spray hot clouds and ash. This caused darkness over the whole world and triggered an extreme cold temperature. On August 26, 1883, the real disaster happened. Violent explosions occurred and were heard even by those in Australia. Volcanic materials were tossed until India and the island of Madagascar. The volcano's collapse caused a series of tsunamis that reached as far as South America and Hawaii. Tragic, isn't it? According to legends, the incident of 1883 wasn't the worst tragedy of Krakatoa. An old Javanese script stated that more than 1,000 years before 1883, a worse explosion happened around the Indian Ocean. According to the script, the island of Java and Sumatra were once as one. The volcanic eruption of this ancient Krakatoa was so terrible that it carved such a huge caldera. After many years, rainwater filled this massive hole, causing the lower lands to totally disappear. This was how the island of Sumatra formed. Although volcanic eruptions can be very destructive, they are able to give good impact to their surroundings just in few years. According to an article I found recently on the internet, people who live around risky volcanoes may gain some benefits in future, such as fertile lands as a result of volcanic rock and ash, free electricity triggered by geothermal energy, and precious stones like diamonds and other sorts of gems. Well, among these 3, I guess you guys are most interested in the last one, the existence of precious, rare, and blazing gems. Just few months ago, I watched a Disney cartoon that is funny but scientifically true. Well, the title is Tarzan and Jane. This animated movie talks about jungle life in Africa, how tough humans swing on trees, and how animals talk. We'll be watching some of these clips together right now.
Mr. Niels, might this be what I think it is?
Yes, we must be close. Keep digging.
Look, Tarzan is good at searching for diamonds.
At the risk of sounding shamelessly cliché, we are rich!
Sparkly rocks. That's what all the shouting's about?
Women wear these rocks on their fingers.
And they call us uncivilized.
This way, Janie.
Turk? What are you doing here?
Jane and the professor think those guys with Tarzan are bad news. I tagged along to help out.
What kind of bad news?
Oh, real bad. The worst. The ultimate pinnacle. Hey, are those termites?
Now, which one of these will Jane like?
I don't think so, mate. You're not stealing my diamonds.
I am not a thief.
Maybe, maybe not. But better safe than sorry.
Just in time.
Tarzan! Or whoever you really are.
Stop him! Not to worry, I planned for this.
We got the volcano.
Sounds like thunder.
Sorry, I gotta lay off those fuzzy leaves. Came from the volcano.
Well, we certainly won't be getting out the way we came in.
And there's more bad news, I'm afraid.
Oh no!
The ground is on fire.
Magma is starting to
This
explode.
volcano is becoming more active by the minute. We must get to higher ground.
There's no way out.
I wonder if... Oh, no. It's quite ridiculous.
What is it, Daddy?
Well, if the magma dome is directly under us, then perhaps the volcano's hollow core is above. Of course, it's unlikely that the top of the cave is thin enough to break through, even if there were a way to get up there. Oh. Good show, Tarzan!
What do you see?
The professor was right.
It stands to reason.
Hold on tight, Daddy. Hurry!
Fascinating.
Tarzan? What on earth are you doing?
Can you guess what they're going to do? They're going to ski.
Don't worry, we will.
Is this possible?
Who cares as long as it's working?
Acrobat. Good job.
Oh, sizzling hot, far too broiling for comfort.
This is the advantage of being a jungle man. In our previous topic, we have learned that the Earth's crust consists of smaller pieces called plates. All in total, there are about 20 plates on the Earth's surface that move continuously and slowly past each other. When these plates squeeze or stretch, rocks from their edges will move with great force, causing a sudden tremble. This sudden tremble is known as an earthquake. Earthquakes strike different parts of the world every day. However, we don't always hear breaking news about earthquakes simply because earthquakes aren't always felt. Minor earthquakes might cause buildings and trees to vibrate, causing creatures on top of them to panic or feel dizzy. However, earthquakes can sometimes be very dangerous. A powerful earthquake can cause landslides, tsunamis, flooding, and other catastrophic events. When a powerful earthquake happens in a populated area, it usually yields to a terrible impact. In today's era, tall and massive buildings are found all over the world. Big cities are occupied by students and busy working humans, running cars and motorcycles, and dense housing areas. Imagine right now what would happen if a powerful earthquake strikes a crowded urban like this. Huge heavy buildings would tremble or even collapse. Tough structures like iron bridges might break before falling apart. If a powerful earthquake happens in an open village, humans living there will have a greater chance to survive, simply because the village space isn't occupied by tall and heavy buildings that might collapse at any time. The two disasters we've discussed previously are scary, aren't they? When I was a little girl, I thought that eruptions and earthquakes are the most terrible natural disasters. As a result, I was quite scared to visit volcanic areas like Mount Tangkuban Perahu in Bandung. But then, when I was 6 years old, I happened to watch a terrifying news on television. The breaking news appeared in December 2004. I was just in the first grade of school when I turned so shocked after knowing what exactly happened. A long and furious earthquake occurred in the region of Aceh for about 10 minutes. While people were still in panic, a huge wave suddenly approached the shoreline of Aceh. People became more terrified and tried to save themselves. However, the speed of wave was so fast that most people couldn't save their lives. What's worse than that was that the wave current was so high and strong that it wiped almost everything on land. Huge houses, trees, and vehicles were washed away just like sand. From further news information, I learned that this huge disaster was called a tsunami. By the time, the term tsunami was a bit strange in my ears. I didn't know exactly what it meant, but by that time, I knew that the word referred to the huge, powerful wave that caused great destruction and uncountable deaths. About 3 years after the furious disaster in Aceh, I went to a bookstore in the mall to read a colored English book with my mom. Although I've forgotten the title of the book by right now, I perfectly remember that the book talked about the lives of traditional fishermen living in Japan. It was a great adventure book. From that book, I knew for the first time that traditional Japanese fishermen love to hunt whales with harpoons. It's brutal indeed, but I think that it was a part of their culture until the early 20th century. But in our discussion today, I'm not focusing on that. As far as I remember, few pages of the book stated the testimonies of some old local fishermen who witnessed sudden monstrous waves around the harbor. Japanese fishermen who were in the middle of the sea didn't feel the current of these waves. But to those who were around the harbors and shores, these waves turned out to be furious monsters that swallowed houses, trees, and even humans all around. Since this wild wave is found only around the shores, the Japanese people named it tsunami, the term that comes from the word tsu that means harbor and nami that means wave. To end our Earth science class today, we will watch a short animated video of how a tsunami happens.
In many ways, tsunamis are just larger versions of regular waves. They have a trough and a crest, and consist not of moving water, but the movement of energy through water. The difference is in where this energy comes from. For normal ocean waves, it comes from wind. Because this only affects the surface, the waves are limited in size and speed. But tsunamis are caused by energy originating underwater, from a volcanic eruption, a submarine landslide, or most commonly, an earthquake on the ocean floor, caused when the tectonic plates of the Earth's surface slip, releasing a massive amount of energy into the water. This energy travels up to the surface, displacing water and raising it above the normal sea level. But gravity pulls it back down, which makes the energy ripple outwards horizontally. Thus, the tsunami is born, moving at over 500 miles per hour. When it's far from shore, a tsunami can be barely detectable, since it moves through the entire depth of the water. But when it reaches shallow water, something called wave shoaling occurs. Because there is less water to move through, this still massive amount of energy is compressed. The wave's speed slows down while its height rises to as much as 100 feet. The word tsunami, Japanese for harbor wave, comes from the fact that it only seems to appear near the coast. If the trough of a tsunami reaches shore first, the water will withdraw farther than normal before the wave hits, which can be misleadingly dangerous. A tsunami will not only drown people near the coast, but level buildings and trees for a mile inland or more, especially in low-lying areas. As if that weren't enough, the water then retreats, dragging with it the newly created debris and anything or anyone unfortunate enough to be caught in its path.